Good afternoon and welcome to From Where We Are, stories of news and culture through the lens of Southern California and USC. I'm Liam Wadey.
And I'm Sophia Ainsworth. We're coming to you live from Studio B in USC's Annenberg Media Center. It's Thursday, February 20th, 2025.
On today's show, we check in with student voters around campus, report from the press conference on the high-speed railway, tune in live to author Nathan Frawl's book talk. All that and more on
From Where We Are. But first, today's headlines from David Sosa.
Pope Francis is in stable condition after being hospitalized for pneumonia, according to the Vatican. Officials say he's no longer bedridden and was working with aides while in the hospital. Rumors of resignation continue in light of his health scare. The previous pope, Benedict XVI, became the first pope in nearly 600 years to resign for health reasons. The Trump administration has begun targeting government officials responsible for flagging and preventing foreign intervention in U.S. elections. Officials at the FBI were reassigned. Others at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency were forced out. In previous elections, countries such as Russia, China, and Iran had been investigated for election interference. Evidence was found all three countries interfered to some degree in the last election. A Cal Fire captain was stabbed to death in her San Diego home on Monday. 49-year-old Rebecca Marodi was among the many firefighters who fought the Eaton fire in January. Marodi began as a volunteer firefighter in 1993 and was promoted captain in 2022. The San Diego Sheriff's Department says her death is currently being treated as a potential domestic violence incident, but authorities are still searching for the killer. Protector is a new rideshare app that comes with an armed bodyguard. It launched in Los Angeles yesterday. The app, also available in New York City, allows users to select how many, quote, protectors they want and what they should wear, ranging from business formal to SWAT attire. A maximum of 3 vehicles can be chosen in a motorcade for a minimum of 5 hours. Prices vary but can cost thousands of dollars. 10 years ago, a photo of a striped dress split the internet in half after people could not agree on the color. Was it blue and black or white and gold? Referred to simply as the dress, it came out of a text exchange between Cecilia Bleasdale and her daughter Grace. Cecilia saw blue and black, while Grace saw white and gold. The difference in how people saw the dresses through colors, which were blue and black, was due to the photo's background lighting. For Annenberg Media, I'm David Sosa.
Tomorrow, February 21st, is the last day to cast your ballot for USC's undergraduate student government. The presidential, vice presidential, and Senate polls will close at midnight, so make sure to make your voice heard. So, what do students have to say about this? Brian Nicholas has the story.
Candidates are making a final push for votes with stickers and campaign posters along Truesdale Avenue. Undergraduate students will be voting for the USG president and senators. We asked USC students for their thoughts on the university's student government. Like other USC students, junior Shweta Rajmahin isn't sure how much power USG has to implement real changes around campus. Rajmahin is an economics and poli-sci major.
I don't really know the extent of USG's power, so I think that some candidates might have really extravagant ideas that just like they don't have the authority to do. So I think part of their goals just can't be met because they just don't have that kind of authority.
Ellen Chang, another junior, is also unsure just what USG can accomplish.
I guess Personally, I don't participate that much in student body just because in the past, I haven't exactly seen like certain maybe initiatives that have been incorporated, and it's like not exactly clear what the tangible results that student body has done.
As some of the last votes are being cast, candidates are giving their final pushes for the presidency and Senate. We ran into one USG presidential candidate, Ali Bhatti. He says he hopes to serve the student population.
I wanted to change the culture of USG and make it for the students and really go to students directly rather than having students come to USG. Because right now, if you're not in USG, you really have no idea what USG is doing.
Bhatti says he'd like to take what he calls a top-down approach and implement initiatives that are student-based. Freshman Amelia Novak says she wants to see results from what the candidates are promising.
I'd want to see more action. So I know that there's a lot of specific initiatives that like each campaign is wanting to take. And I would just want to see those honestly be filled out. Like I know that one of them was like free laundry and one of them was removing gates.
The election results will be announced at the USG Senate meeting on Tuesday, February 25th at 7 p.m. For Annenberg Media, I'm Brian Nicholas.
California's billion-dollar high-speed rail project that would connect Los Angeles and San Francisco has been delayed. The railway may face further suspension contingent upon the Trump administration's renewal of millions of dollars in federal funding. Jose Trejo has more.
Earlier this morning, Federal Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was in LA to share some bad news about the controversial California high-speed rail project. Duffy says he's demanding a compliance review for the California high-speed rail project. He says the project has seen little progress in terms of construction timeline and budget management.
I think there's a demand by the American taxpayer to make sure the money is being spent well, and to make sure that the California voting population, the California taxpayer, understands, even though they may be excited about this project, the project's not going to happen. There is no timeline in which you're going to have a high-speed rail that goes from LA to San Francisco. That timeline does not exist.
Duffy has doubts that the estimates should actually be funded.
I think it's incumbent upon us as responsible legislators and those in the federal government to take a hard look at how we spend our money. And if California wants to continue to invest, that's fine, but we in the Trump administration are going to take a look at whether this project is worthy of a continual investment.
Duffy claimed the investment projection tripled to a whopping $106 billion since the project was approved by voters back in 2008. The original completion date was set for 2020, but has been stalled for several years. Duffy said the lack of progress within the project has even caught the attention of President Trump.
He's talked about the project, and I think he was very kind when he said, this project has been mismanaged. I'm going to exercise my authority as the Secretary of Transportation. I'm going to direct the Federal Railroad Administration, or FRA, to initiate a compliance review of funding to the California High-Speed Rail Authority. This review is going to focus on that $4 billion, and it was for 2 construction projects as part of the Merced to Bakersfield construction. This is going to help determine whether billions of dollars in taxpayer money should remain committed to California's high-speed rail.
Meanwhile, several protesters disrupted the conference, chanting their support for the high-speed railway, although some, like Lola, had predicted this kind of resistance from officials.
We knew that was going to happen, okay? We knew that that's what the intention is. First of all, we need the high-speed rail. The state is ridiculous that people cannot afford to live in the cities where they work. So commuting is essential. And I think just connection with this state, as large as it is, it's ridiculous to me that it wouldn't save both climate impact as well as people's money. So it seems foolish.
Lauren, another protester at the conference, shared Lola's sentiment.
Most working class people don't necessarily have access to a car. Gas is expensive, and this is a way of really making it easier for people, and it's just another way that it feels like the federal administration right now is not prioritizing working class people.
Federal funding is crucial to the project, and without it, the rail may not ever see the light of day.
The idea of being able to go from LA to Northern California to Central Valley on a high-speed rail that was built by workers who were paid a good wage is really exciting, and we need to keep that kind of progress and not be stuck in traffic our whole lives.
For Annenberg Media, I'm Jose Trejo.
I'm Liam Wadey. We're glad you're with us for From Where We Are.
And I'm Sophia Ainsworth. It's 9 minutes past the hour. Coming up, we go live at USC Gold for a Pulitzer Prize-winning book talk. And we sit down with our very own Jasmine Ying as she takes us through some of the on-campus reactions to President Trump's first month in office.
Right now, the USC Gold School of Law is hosting a special book talk with award-winning journalist, essayist, and author Nathan Thrall for his novel A Day in the Life of Abed Salama, Anatomy of a Jerusalem Tragedy. Jose Trejo is there right now.
Hi, Jose. Do we have you on the line?
Yeah.
So great to be speaking with you. So we had a couple of questions for you today regarding the book talk. So firstly, you've been sitting in on the conversation. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've heard, just in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So as previously mentioned, this is essentially a discussion regarding a book titled A Day in the Life of Abed Salama. It was written by Pulitzer Prize-winning writer Nathan Thrall, and it follows the life of a father who unfortunately loses his son while in Palestine at a bus crash. And he struggles with the loss of his son, but also struggles with the complex nature of the occupation within Palestine. And so he navigates through the separate legal system for Jews and Palestinians within the West Bank, including discrepancies in job availability and hospital access. And so it essentially takes a point of view perspective of people within Gaza, and this is some of the points that Nathan pointed towards, that he wanted to focus on the perspective of the people within the region rather than taking a bird's eye view to the situation.
All right, that's very interesting. So currently, what kind of crowd is present at the event?
So it's pretty diverse. The people that have attended, it ranges from young and old. I can tell that there are some law students from this Gould School of Law that have attended, but there is also a couple of older individuals. They seem to be professors in the law school, and so they have all come together to listen into some of the insight of the panelists, specifically the situation, the difficult situation in Palestine, but as well as some of the legal systems and legal ramifications of the process.
Yeah, definitely. And what are some of your personal, main takeaways from the talk?
So one of the things that I thought was very interesting was that Nathan Thrall, the writer of the novel, stated that he was originally going to write an article rather than a book, and the article was going to be based on the debate at the time of the Israeli annexation of the West Bank in its entirety. And so he wanted to expose some of the falsehoods of the annexation debate, and specifically how people were were claiming that there wasn't any killings or any murders around the region because officials said there weren't any murders, even though that those claims came up to be very controversial. And so as he was navigating all these thoughts and topics, he came to the conclusion that he preferred to tell the story of these people, as previously said, through their perspective, in their own eyes, in their own shoes, rather than focusing on an article that would just be explaining his points and the topics that he wanted to convey across.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jose. We appreciate your insights so much.
Thank you.
Today officially marks 1 month into Donald Trump's second presidential term, and it has been a very eventful one. About a week ago, Google Maps officially changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America for U.S. users, an initiative led by his administration. This past week, in social media posts, Trump has claimed falsely that it was Ukraine that initiated war with Russia when it was Russia that invaded Ukraine in 2022. Just yesterday, the official White House Instagram and X social media accounts posted an illustration of Trump wearing a crown with the caption, quote unquote, "Long live the king." Jasmine Yang met with a member of USC's College Republicans as well as the president of the USC College Democrats. She joined us now to break down how both parties on campus are reacting as news from the White House keeps going.
So, Jasmine, firstly, thank you for joining us. And let's start with the "Long Live the King" caption. First, can you tell us what that was all about?
Well, the post went up yesterday, and it contained a reference to what is called congestion pricing in New York. It's basically a fee that drivers have to pay when they're driving in heavily congested areas in big cities. The Transportation Department withdrew support for the plan in New York, and in the post, Trump was taking the credit. The post read, "Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king." It had a featured drawing of a grinning Trump against the New York skyline wearing a gold crown. Both candidates had very different reactions upon seeing the post. Sarah Schausteinickers, the president of the USC College Democrats, her reaction was disbelief.
I admit that when I first saw the post, I thought it was satirical from a source like The Onion. I did not think that the official White House Instagram account would post something like that. I think it's kind of gross to elevate yourself to the level of king. And I think that, as an elected official, it is your role to understand that you were elected by the people for the people.
Dakota Dreemeyer, on the other hand, didn't take it seriously. He is a member of the USC College Republicans.
I saw this as the ultimate trolling of the left. They don't care about the criticism from the left because, you know what, they've called him a fascist and a dictator this entire time, none of which are true. And he goes, you know what? Long live the king. And it was just the ultimate level of trolling. I got a good laugh out of it, and I think at least half the country did.
So you also talked to both sources about their thoughts regarding President Trump's false claims about who started the war in Ukraine. Did they have anything to say about that?
This was the one thing, despite Trump's claim that Ukraine started the war on their own land, that both candidates agreed on. Dreemeyer is aware that Russia started the war. However, he had some additional thoughts about what Trump's purpose has been in this war so far.
And yes, Ukraine did not start this war. Now, Trump has taken more of a stance because we need to be critical of, all this money that we've sent. He's always said, I want the killing to stop. I want the dying to stop. But, we need to be critical. We can't just, send a blank check without at least asking for some sort of accountability and trying to see where we're at. Because that's not fair to the American taxpayer.
Schausteinicker, on the other hand, said Trump's false claim made her question the president's dedication to democracy.
He has no respect for the power of democracy, the principles of a democratic republic. And by insinuating that Ukraine started the war against Russia, it also shows a disregard for fact and truth. And I think that shows just how much loyalty Trump has, not to democracy, but instead to Putin. Yes. And lastly, you also asked for their opinions on the official Google Maps name change from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. What do they think about that?
Dreemeyer strongly agrees with this name change and provided some interesting insight as to how this new name could be viewed.
Now, I agree with renaming the Gulf of Mexico to now rightfully the Gulf of America. It's more reflective of, the whole continent here and also American pride. We might as well embrace it.
Shel Steinecker pointed out the other side of the argument and labeled the name change as one of many media distractions.
Trump and the Republican Party ran on this idea that the Democrats were running on social justice issues and not things that affected real Americans. Last time I checked, the name of the Gulf of Mexico did not affect egg prices or interest rates or unemployment. So it's really telling to me that the things that people are talking about the most, things that the administration seems to be putting a lot of effort into, is not something that most Americans actually care about.
As expected, both sources had very different responses to what's been coming from the White House, but it was good to hear both their perspectives.
All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine.
Thank you.
And that's all we have time for on today's From Where We Are. Daishalyn Satcher executive produced today's show. Jack Waterman produced today's show.
Our coach is Mallory Cara. Our audio director is Leslie Berisstein Rojas. Sam Bittman runs our soundboard. Will Gwynn is our live stream manager. And Derek Renfro composed our theme music.
Catch us live on YouTube at Annenberg Radio News Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Subscribe to From Where We Are wherever you're listening right now. And follow us on Instagram at Annenberg Radio. I'm Sophia Ainsworth.
And I'm Liam Wadey from all of us at Annenberg Radio. Wherever you are, we hope you'll join us again for
From Where We Are. So Liam, I'm sure you heard earlier, today is the 10-year anniversary of the iconic and notorious black and blue or gold and white dress meme.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel so old.
Yes, and what's more crazy is that I was called crazy back then for thinking it was black and blue, which it rightfully was.
I saw both, so I don't know about that one.